round of DLA Night. With me today, I've got Stephen Howard, and we're going to be talking about leadership. We're talking about people-central leadership, and we're also going to be talking about Stephen's book. And he's actually made a word up, which we're going to talk about. So one of the things that we're going to discuss is his book, which is, funnily enough, available on Amazon.com. I've printed the page out because I got a soft copy. I don't have the hard copy of it. Stephen, before we explain to everybody about this new word that you've made up, why don't you explain and tell people where they can find you?
Oh, thanks, Tim, and great to see you again. You can find me on humanyleadership.com or on LinkedIn. It says Greater Los Angeles area. Those are probably the two best places. But I guess we have to explain what Humany is and how to spell it.
Yes. Have I spelt it correctly?
You have, and I do apologize to all your British colleagues that an American has tried to make up a word for the English language. I realize it's your language, but I created Humany, Humony, by combining humanity, and harmony, really to emphasize that we lead people. We don't manage people. We need to lead people, and leaders need to create workplaces of wellness and harmony. So that's my contribution to the dictionary, hopefully.
And I think, I mean, Stephen, you and I have been around long enough to see a number of different changes in leadership. And I think, I don't know about you, and I know you talk about it in the book, which is that, COVID-19 changed so many things, didn't it?
It did.
And I'm not going to get into some of the things. We haven't got time for that. But what it changed was leadership.
I definitely believe it has. But unfortunately, I don't think leaders have changed yet, particularly those of us who are 45 plus who've been very successful doing a certain pre-COVID way. We're struggling. And I coach a lot of people who are struggling in that area, but definitely leadership has changed, and the workplace has changed. The workforce has changed. And one of the things I often ask people, well, if your employees have changed, why haven't you?
Hmm. You talk about that management is a 1980s construct, and it certainly is. And
Yeah.
go ahead if you're going to speak.
Well, sorry. Yeah, I didn't want
talk, mate.
to interrupt you there, but yeah, I think managing people, the concept of managing people is a 1980s construct. It's not relevant. It's not applicable today. And what I say in the book and what I say in my speeches and talks and stuff is that, look, you manage things, you manage policies, procedures, processes, but you lead people. And if you're still going to have that managing hat on, when you're going to try and manage people, today's workforce, particularly anybody under 40. I mean, quite honestly, Tim, no one wakes up in the morning and says, "I can't wait to be managed by my boss today," and certainly no one wakes up or goes in the office and says, "I can't wait to be micromanaged today." So we have to change our mindsets about what it means to lead people.
And we've got a comment coming in from Scotland, UK. The fact that you've come in as LinkedIn user means that you have to go into the settings on LinkedIn and allow you to share certain data. But hello everyone from Scotland, UK. This is a very interesting topic: before and after COVID leadership changes, and I still don't think. I remember in certain lockdowns where I was saying to people, I don't think we realize how much the world has changed, and I still don't think that. And I still think people are struggling with this thing called leading behind screens.
They're struggling with that, Tim. I think too many people have thought, well, we're going back to the workplace, things are back to normal. Well, there is no return to normal. It's a new abnormal, and it's going to continue to change. And I mean, people are shocked when I tell them that the Great Resignation is still continuing today. Millions and millions of people are resigning their jobs every month. And people think, yeah, that was something that happened 12 months ago. It lasted 3 months. It's over. No, it's not over. Now we have the quiet quitting trend where people just say, you know what? I'm not going to go above and beyond anymore. I don't get rewarded for going above and beyond. If I have to work 9 to 5, or if I have to do these certain tasks, that's all I'm going to do. And so leaders again need to understand that their employees have changed. Their mentality about the importance of work has changed. And so we as leaders need to change.
So why do you think that people don't want to be led anymore?
No, they do want to be led. They don't want to be managed.
Right.
Okay, the reason is that l- the managing people concept is from the 1980s. That's when we hired people for their hands, for their bodies, do things. Now we hire people for their brains. And if we hire people for their brains and their thinking capacity and their decision making capacities, then why are we hovering over their shoulders, telling them what to do, how to do it? But let's, as a leader, your job now is to say, this is the outcome. This is what success looks like. How you achieve that, as long as you stay within certain parameters, ethical, procedure, safety, financial parameters, it doesn't matter how you get your job done. And the best analogy I can give you, Tim, is that I don't know you, but I know when I was in university, we got assigned team projects. And there were some people on our team, it's like a 5-month project. There's some people on the team that want to start the meetings the next week. And we're going to meet every week and we're going to do this. We're going to break it into pieces. And there were others like me who kind of said, about 3 weeks before the deadline, let's start working on the project. I work better under pressure. So a leader today shouldn't tell me how to do my job. Just tell me what you want to accomplish. Let me get it done.
And I think it's still shocking for people over the age of probably 40 that when people have done the job, they go home.
Yeah.
Regardless of what time it is in the day, because I've finished.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I remember my first job, which will date me a little bit here, but a couple decades ago. And I went to my boss and said, I need to take a couple hours off tomorrow. I've got a dental appointment. And my boss looked at me and says, "What's wrong? Your dentist doesn't work on Saturdays?" And so, like, you couldn't even take personal time off to get a tooth fixed back then. But here's, I think, when you think, sorry, you said things changed coming out of the COVID. I think here's one thing that's really changed, Tim, is that leaders have to recognize that people not we used to say people have lives outside work, and yeah, as long as you get your work done and you can do your life, in your own time. No, people have responsibilities outside the workplace. That could be caring for elderly parents. It could be
Yep,
school
I do.
responsibilities. It could be coaching youth sport. Those responsibilities are now equally as important to them as their work responsibilities. And they want the opportunity to do both. They want to do their work responsibilities as long as they can continue to fulfill their personal responsibilities.
So what do people need to be successful today?
In terms of leadership,
Yeah, well, as an individual contributor, what is it that leaders need to give to me, and what is it that I need to have, and
oh,
and how does purpose fit into this?
I think purpose might be a little overblown in some people's minds, but I think what people want is they want the opportunity to learn. They want the opportunity to grow. They want the opportunity to have assignments that challenge them, stretch them, and allow them to learn and grow. And again, one of the key reasons for the Great Resignation, so many people are citing, is that I'm not being trained anymore. I'm not learning. I'm not growing. I'm going to go to another company that I will have that opportunity to grow. I think the other thing is people want to be accepted for who they authentically are. We don't want to put a mask on anymore and walk into the office and pretend for 8 hours a day that we're this person. That I'm a marketing person. No, you are who you are. You're Tim Hughes. And what does Tim Hughes encompass? It's a bunch of things besides being a marketing person and, in your case, a podcaster. So they want to be accepted for that. And they want to be trusted. One of the things I counsel leaders on today is don't go into a new team and say something like, "Here's how you earn my trust." Again, that's old school
Yes.
thinking. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Go in and say, "I trust you to get your job done. Now, here's how you can lose my trust. Don't come to me quick enough when you have a problem. Try to hide a mistake that you've made under the rug. Um, don't blame others for something's going wrong. Accept accountability. That's how you can lose my trust."
One of the things that I learned from your book, Stephen, was this thing about trust. What we normally do is that we treat people with suspicion.
Yes.
And what we need to be doing is treating people with trust. And one of the things that I've said to people is that I've actually gone to people that work with me and say, I trust you.
Yeah, I think we have.
And I think that you know, because you can sit here and say, well, everybody knows that I trust them. No, they don't. So I've gone out of my way to actually say to the people that work with me, I trust you.
Good. I trust you. I trust your thinking. I trust your ideas. I trust your inputs. I may not agree with them, but I trust that that's how you believe, that you're doing what you believe is for the best of the organization or for the best way to accomplish your task. I trust you. That's a great thing that you're doing, Tim.
Well, all I'm trying to do is trying to be the best person I can be. You know, I'm human like everybody else. Can we go back to purpose, because this is like the buzzword of the moment for purpose. What's your view on it? And because you said it's overblown, I think I kind of agree with you. But maybe that's because I'm over 25.
It's overblown to an extent by some people who think that's the sole and only thing that people are interested. That's what I mean by overblown. I know there's a lot of people for whom purpose is more important. I've got a friend of mine, ex senior manager at Boeing, and his son had an opportunity to join Boeing, or had an opportunity to join a startup company that was doing something in the medical industry that had more purpose to it. And he selected the other. And he basically told his dad something along the lines, I'll paraphrase, or something along the line, yeah, I know airplanes are important, but I want to see what we can accomplish here in this field. So for some people, purpose is extremely important. The reason I say it's overblown, I don't think it's important for everybody.
Okay.
Negatively, I think it is. I mean, if you're doing something that harms the earth or hurts people, you're going to have a harder time hiring people, I believe, particularly going forward.
Yeah, I think in certain instances that they will find difficulty with finding people, but always we're talking certainly generalizations.
Yes.
Because there are certain people that are happy flipping burgers, and I'm not being derogatory about flipping burgers. It's just that actually they're quite happy doing it.
They are, because for those people, and for others doing other things, where they get their major personal motivation might be doing outside work. They volunteer, they Meals on Wheels, they drive meals to the elderly people, or they coach youth sports, or they are involved in their religious organizations, whatever it happens to be. So for some people, just give me a paycheck. I don't want to be promoted. I don't want to be stretched. And that's the other thing about, I think, that has changed coming out of the pandemic, is we have to treat each person we lead individually. We have to understand what are their individual needs, what are their individual motivators. We can't just lead everybody the same way. We have to be adaptable.
So let's walk through your humany word. I mean, what is it as leaders that we can do to be more human?
Listen. Understand, have empathy for people. I think empathy is one of the key. I mean, emotional intelligence as a leader is so critical in today's world, and empathy is a key part of that. As I go back, as I said earlier, understand that people have responsibilities outside the workplace. If they get their job done, if they get their work done to the right standard that you want within the right deadlines, then allow them that flexibility to do it what suits them. I mean, I might want to take 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock off every afternoon because I have other responsibilities. And if I want to work from 7 to 9 o'clock at night to get my work done, that's my choice. So I think understanding that, and going back to trust, I think the last thing, I'll turn your question around a little bit, the last thing we should be doing is putting keystroke monitors on people's computers who are working from home, or cameras or anything else that shows we don't trust you. We want to make sure that you're touching your keyboard every 15 seconds.
But that's old people trying to enforce things on, because
Exactly.
you can buy a a thing that moves your mouse every couple of seconds from
Yeah.
Amazon for $15.
Well, everything that us old people, us baby boomers, try to create rules for the younger generation, they're going to find a technical way around that.
Of course they are.
Whether it's a curfew at night coming home, or whether it's touching your keyboard every 15 seconds.
Yeah, I know. I've got a friend who did things with the router for the Wi-Fi to stop his kids using the Wi-Fi at certain times, and they just found the way around it. They were a better
Exactly.
programmer than him,
Exactly.
So, Stephen, just so you know, your video is frozen,
I
but we
noticed
can
that.
still hear you loud and clear.
Okay, maybe I'll turn the camera off, see if I can return it on if that works. But, talking about tech, I need a millennial here in my life. No, I can't get it to reconnect. All right, well, you can hear me, so let's continue.
I can hear you, and
Okay.
we've seen your face so far. So if
Well,
you're happy so what about you talk about this word is a merger of humanity and harmony. What about humanity? What is it that we can be doing as leaders to have more humanity?
I think the answer is twofold, Tim. It does go back to the purpose you talked about. I think it's understanding the decisions that we make and how it's going to impact our stakeholders, including society, the environment, our communities. I think the other thing is part of the humanity is if somebody were to ask you, what's your cost of labor in your company? You'd look at your balance sheet and you'd say, well, my payroll is this, my insurance policy is this, my vacation leave cost is that. No, your cost of labor is also what is it costing your employees in terms of their relationship, in terms of their health, in terms of their mental health to be working in your environment. And so that to me is part of the humanity aspect of humaning and understanding your true cost of labor. If you're asking people to work overtime, if you're sending text messages to an employee at 10 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
it's not just that they have to respond, but understanding how does their significant other look at you when you're having to answer a text at 10 o'clock at night and you're not paying attention to them. That's a glip on their relationship and you're impacting their relationship and you shouldn't be. So that's what I mean. That's what I incorporate in as far as humanity goes.
I agree, and I think it's I often read articles about people sending people messages, and I think there's been quite a big change in terms of especially in global organizations. I used to work for a global company, and so I could send something at 9 o'clock in the morning, but for you, Stephen, it would be actually I think it's 11 o'clock at night, though for
Something like that.
someone in Boston it would be 3 o'clock in the morning. So and I think there's been in certain companies there's been a change, and I think there's a standard footer that people are putting on emails and stuff saying, just because I'm sending this at a different time, it's down to you to send it whenever you want.
Yeah.
But that may be the minority, not the majority.
I think it's the exception. I have a client in the US in the IT business, and that's exactly what he says in his emails. He says something like, I am sending this email at a time that's convenient for me. I only expect you to respond at a time that is convenient for you. And he lives that rule. He doesn't send follow-ups like I haven't heard from you or something like that. So and the other thing about him, and again, and I thought a lot about him as I created the Humany concept and the humanity part of it is,
Yeah.
one thing I respect about him is that, like a couple of years ago, he called me, and I answered the phone, and he said, "I need to talk to you about something." And I said, "I'm on holiday right now. Can I call you back this afternoon?" I was about to enter a museum or something. We just bought our tickets. We're having a tour. I said, "I'm on holiday. I'm about to enter this museum. Can I call you back this afternoon?" And he said, when are you going to be back at the office? And I said, "Oh, next Tuesday." He says, "Let's talk then." So he respected the fact, even though he's the client, I'm the consultant, but he respected the fact that I was on personal leave and he could wait till the following week for us to talk. And that is a human leader in my mind.
And so the final part of it is harmony. So how can we get harmony?
I know, and people laugh when I ask them about what's harmony look like in your workplace, and they all scoff at me and say there's no such thing. What does it look like? I think if you've ever been in flow, and I'm sure you have, you're working on a project, you lose track of time, what's known as flow, everything's moving, you're thinking, that's harmony. You get greater cooperation, people are going to have less drama in the workplace, people are clicking together, not because they're told to, but because they want to be. And so part of that is the organization, if you have a harmony climate, would be we're not going to tolerate bosses who slam their fists on the table. We're not, or throw papers around. We're not going to tolerate yelling and screaming in the office place. We're not going to tolerate, and you see so many of these stories where people insist, managers insist, come in on your day off. We're short staff. Well, no, today's my day off. No, you got to come in. So all that creates disharmony in the workplace. So harmony is getting rid of that drama, that conflict, that stress that we put people under. And if we de-stress the workplace, we are going to get more innovation, more creativity, because I don't know anybody who's creative when they're stressed. So reduce stress, reduce the drama. You're going to get better creativity, better innovation, and better collaboration, and therefore better results.
We've had a great comment here from Annika, who's dialing in, if I can still use that word, from Sweden. You can write emails at any time as leader and send them when they need to be sent. Yeah, I do it with Slack. We use Slack because we're a social company, but I'm forever doing something when I think about it, and then I'll time it for 9 o'clock in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, and Annika, you're absolutely right, and thanks for your contribution there. Some people don't know how to do that.
Yes,
quite honestly.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I think certainly with products like Slack, there's a great opportunity to. So, for example, my colleagues who are in the States, if I send something in the 9 o'clock in the morning, they actually won't be told about it until a time that's convenient for them.
That's nice. That's nice. And I think more people should utilize those.
I think so,
Technology
yeah.
can be our friend in this
It
case.
is, yeah. Stephen, thank you so much for coming on and talking about your new book,
Thank you, Tim.
Humony Leadership. And I'm just showing up the cover there. Remind people where they can get hold of you.
Humony, now you know the word, humanyleadership.com, or email me at stephen@humanyleadership.com. Happy to talk to you or respond to any questions you have, help you bring it into your organization. Or as I said before, LinkedIn. Everyone's on LinkedIn. My profile is Stephen Howard, Greater Los Angeles area. So that's as specific as you can find me.
And you're pretty active on LinkedIn and stuff like that anyway, aren't you?
Yeah, and I try to, one of the things I believe in, Tim, is sharing information. So I write articles on LinkedIn. On one of my other company websites, I've got a lot of resources on leadership and articles and even brain health. So reach out to me and I'll be happy to put you on the list.
And your book is on Amazon, isn't it?
Yeah, all my books are on Amazon, and both around the world, and Humany Leadership is now on audiobook. I'm pleased to say, first time I've had a book in audiobook. So for those of you who enjoy audio, and it's on sale this week, so go grab it now. Yeah, the Audible's got a big sale going on for everything, so go grab it on audiobook.
Stephen, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your book and your insight, and thanks everybody for your comments. It's been excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Sorry about the technical glitch, but I'll catch you.
It happens, Stephen.